Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play it as karmic themes to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is in your connection and just within your life, right? You're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. Now, what I've noticed is spiritual blockages that are psychological and emotional energy. That's what it really is. It's held in the body as stress. And it makes it really difficult for spirit then to flow through you. Spirit is the air that we breathe. It's prana, it's chi, it's what gives us life. It's it's that's why they call it life force. Because when that spirit leaves the body is actually dead. So you know that the body is just a shell for the spirit to reside. We're down here in physical form to learn and to manifest. You may say, what am I learning? Well, you're supposed to be learning that there's all different perceptions to your reality. But the problem is most people form habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with their core beliefs. And we really wouldn't know what those core beliefs were unless, again, there was a karmic theme that played out that made you feel a certain way about yourself. So the key in shadow readings is to integrate the spiritual lesson so you could see a different perception of yourself. So God will always give you, and I understand God, the universe, God works with the universe. God is not the same thing as the universe. However, God is always working through you along with the universe to bring you everything that you need to bring you back to wholeness because the whole point of why we're here is to learn that there is no separation between us and our creator. However, we get stuck in a perception. So again, God brings us the perfect people and situations that is going to make us aware because trauma is held within the subconscious mind. Like, it's not that you don't have memories. You have memories, but there's also fragmentation, and that fragmentation is where you detached and you disassociated from. So you know what happened, but there's no feeling, or you don't remember parts of what happened. And so you can't get rid of negative energy. That energy needs to be integrated, and it needs to be integrated back into wholeness. And that's through your identity. It's through becoming the energy of unconditional love. Again, there's only two energies, love and fear. So a lot of times when you're attracting someone that's really negative, someone that someone that wants to make you feel a certain way about yourself, it's really because they see a light within inside of you that scares them, and it scares them because it reflects onto their wound. It's the mirror and the mirror of what's missing. And so instead of the person usually seeing it as something that's going to heal, they again obviously react, and they're going to react, by trying to make you feel a certain way about yourself. So if you're not strong within yourself, again, when we're in the energy of God, we are strong within ourselves. But when we are not, we're usually in our trauma. So it's all about integration. Okay. Now, I never know why I said what I'm going to say before I start pulling cards, but Spirit always knows the topic. I'm just the conduit for Spirit to speak through. I never know what the reading's going to tell us, the same as you. Okay, so let's start by, I don't know, let's start by looking at the wounds first. I think yesterday we looked at the relationship first. Today, let's start with the wounds. Just feels right. All right, we're gonna pull three and three. And the wounds are gonna tell us What are the karmic themes that are playing out within your life right now? Needs to be integrated? And then we're going to see how they're actually playing out within your life. Now, again, energy is fluid, so you may be connected to somebody that has this energy. If you feel like, well, nothing's really going on in my life, but because sometimes that's what it is. I would go and I would get a reading, and a lot of times people didn't even pick up on my energy. One time my friend went and we both went together, but she was the only person that could go in for a reading and she got my reading. So, and she was so pissed because it didn't make sense to her and we didn't really know each other that well that she would know that my father was going in for back surgery, that I was dating a jerk. The message goes to who needs to hear it. So, like, I'd like to use these readings more for educational purposes. All right. So what we see, okay, abuse wound shows up as intense reaction to situations that echo past emotional, physical, and verbal abuse. Often creates deep mistrust. So I feel like you're in this karmic cycle right now, and this karmic cycle is triggering you because, like I said, echoes from the past. So abuse. So having being brought up by a narcissistic parent that makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. Now you're in an environment where people are making you feel like there's something wrong with you. So maybe you, you're at work and you feel like no one really likes you, or you are in a situation where you feel no one likes you. And it could be anything. It could be work, it could be a hobby, an interest, a business group. It could be anything, but it's echoing from the past. And so that there's a lot of people that are projecting onto you. And so it shows up as confusion, self-doubt, or guilt that doesn't match your true feelings. So your true feelings is that you like yourself and you like what you do, but you're in an environment where people are trying to tell you that what you do is bad, or what you do is wrong, or how you're doing it is wrong, or there's something wrong with you, or you're not good enough. And so, again, that is the reoccurring energy. It's of shame, it's of guilt, it's of like almost like you're a bad person, but you're not a bad person at all. There's a lot of people that are projecting their wounds onto you, which, like I said in the beginning, it's making you feel a certain way about yourself. But if you're grounded and you realize this is happening because I need healing. What is the medicine that I need to heal? What are these people trying to teach me? Because that's really what it is. It's almost like this doesn't match who you are, but often it comes from internalizing someone else's shame or blame over time. It can disconnect you from your true feelings, leading you to emotional fatigue. So being around people who continually project that you're a bad person because whatever you're doing is shedding light on something that they need to heal with inside of themselves. Remember, the universe brings you what you need, but what we need is not what we want usually, and what because you're going to get a negative like charge, and that's the trigger. The trigger is I got pissed off. You pissed me off. So you're in an environment where people are trying to make you feel like you shouldn't be there, like you're not good enough, like there's something wrong with you. And that's the same environment that you grew up in. And so what we see is a pattern. And the patterns are the habits and the behaviorisms that come from living in that environment, you see? So shows up as feeling stuck in repeating situations, and then the behaviorisms because the situation triggers the behaviorism. So you're dealing with people that are like psychically, and I'm going to use that word because it pisses some people off, psychically trying to, like, you know, should like make you feel a certain way. It's psychic attack. But if you're strong in who you are and you're connected to the Holy Spirit, you're connected to God, you're connected to your passion for life, well, they can't take you down. They can't take you down. Because it's a lot is passive aggressive, but it's passive aggressive in a way to again trigger that insecurity with inside of you, which understand if a person has studied you and they know about you, well, that's what they're going to do, right? And so people that have suffered from trauma, this is why it's really important never to share where you came from. Because then people tend to think, it's okay to treat you that way. Now, I'm not saying never share, but if you meet a person and you're getting to know them and the relationship is still being shaped, you don't want to share that information because then people then tend to be like, oh, people treated you that way, I'm going to treat you that way, and that it's almost like it gives them a right, which then makes you, if you're in a pattern, you got to break it, obviously, and that's going to create waves. That's going to create problems. But don't give a fuck because, again, you'll wind up getting burnt out emotionally. That's why. And you don't want anyone to take your energy. And how? Because you overthink, you're mistaken for like what your worth is. Like, I need to go along with everyone else. I need to dumb me down because it makes people feel uncomfortable. I need to bow out because it makes people feel uncomfortable. This is why. So you can't do that because the Holy Spirit's inside of you, God's inside of you, and you have to break this karmic cycle. And the karmic cycle of feeling like you're not good enough, like, hey, you don't deserve. God says no one's going to hand it to you. You got to kind of get up and just take it, otherwise, people will always push you out of the way. So you have to, again, do what you've never done before to get a different outcome, to break the karmic cycle. That's what you got to do. And so, Spirit's saying, otherwise, it winds up being, it's like striving to be, like, to let your true self be seen. Like, you're not allowed to do that. Unsure of who you are without the constant striving to, the constant, like, trying to prove, trying to like you're always, and when you're trying to do that, then you're not creating yourself. See, we have to be in our true energy, and our true energy is love. What do you love? It's about giving and receiving of love. Now, people are negative, and they're around you. It begins to make you negative because you're not strong, you're not in your true energy. What you're letting these patterns get to you, but you're not the same person. Is what Spirit's saying, and people will challenge, and so you need to learn to look at things from a different perception. Instead of seeing you're weak, see yourself as resilient, see yourself as strong. You have to be able to emotionally sustain, though, because you can't be in a negative environment all the time. It's going to drain you. You have to balance out, and that means you really have to be in the energy of your passion. See, if you're doing what you love by giving and receiving of love through your free will, it's going to transcend the limitation of your mind, which is the trauma that's playing out due to other people, because this is just a situation that when you have past situations that you haven't healed because you haven't embodied the new consciousness, well, you're going to get the same result. So because God says, well, you're in physical form to learn and to manifest, so you actually have to embody the new consciousness to see yourself differently. See, that changes the emotional template because you get to see yourself differently. That's why. It's like, and that's what it is. You can't make people see you different. What makes them see you different is that God works through you and then you connect to other people that usually then they like will take a deeper look. And it's just because people can't bypass the ego. It's what I feel safe with. It's what I'm accustomed to. It's what it's like if you're different, I have to think outside the box, and then I'm not safe. So it says a lot more about the other person. However, your reaction says everything about you. Everything about you. Be true to you. Understand that because, you know, Holy Spirit's inside of you. Well, a chunk fell out. Should we take them? I always feel like there's no mistakes in life. Sometimes we can think that our situation's a mistake, but God says there's no mistakes. If you're getting a situation and it feels uncomfortable, you have to go through it. And in this situation, it's like that's what it is. It's like it's to make you stronger. That's why they say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, emotionally, that that goes for it, you know? All right, let's see. Have compassion towards others who may not see the world the way that you do, is what Spirit's saying. Have compassion towards others who may see the world through a different lens or of experience. Sorry, pretty much the same thing. But that's they didn't grow up the way that you grew up. Again, you're triggering them. And it's because the way that they were taught, the way that they were conditioned. So understand it's not a forever situation, but there is a solution to every problem. It's time to go within, God says, because the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. You can go inside of you to get that solution instead of react, instead of become emotional, instead of trying to prove yourself. The answer will always be inside, and it will always, if you act on it, it will always be in a balanced manner where you get good results. Okay. What you suspect someone is thinking about you is a reflection of your own thoughts or feelings. God's saying was your womb. This is happening because you need healing. I don't like the way that you view yourself. You view yourself like there's something wrong or that you're not good enough. So since that's the way you feel about yourself, I'm going to bring you some people that make you feel that way about yourself. And so you make it stop because no one wants to be in an environment where everyone doesn't like them. So Spirit says, now, it says, when unsure how to proceed, simply take each next step as it is revealed. Only in the now do you get divine guidance. We don't react because this is a time where it requires you to be in your body, to be present, to be in the moment. Trauma will, again, trigger. And when you get triggered, it's because there's already wounds there. The situation is happening because of you. And remember that you're the alchemist of your life. You're the creator of your life. You get to do things differently. You get to break the karmic cycle, to transcend the limitations, not just of what you think, but what other people think too. Because again, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Everybody's stuck in their own reality, God says, and nobody's reality is balanced, God says. Not really. There's a beneficial energy because if God's all knowing, there's always a good outcome. There's always hey, this actually worked out. Holy shit. It's like, who would have thought? And that's the thing. Instead of getting triggered is what Spirit says. So only in the now do you get divine guidance through gut, intuition, inner knowing. Your words have power beyond the infinite understanding of your planetary mind. So words are spells, you know, whether you want to say, oh, it's a witchcraft, or whether it's just God made, your voice so you could call it and call life into existence, for yourself by asking for what you need. by steering it. Because sometimes people are stuck in their perception. They don't really see things from the correct perception. They see things from a blocked perception. And that's just because they lived in a certain environment what feels right to me and doesn't feel right to me. And again, if you react, then people are going to see the reaction. They're not going to see you. And so one reaction is words, right? And it's the way that we say things. So be as wise as a serpent, but be as gentle as a dove, God says, because you can know, but you don't have to reveal everything. Because, hey, you may know that fatso over there doesn't like you, or this person that's a complete bigot asshole doesn't like you. You don't need to call them that. You don't need to call them out on what they do, who they are, what their opinion is, what your opinion is, because that's sabotaging behavior. You may think it, just the same as whatever they think about you, but be as wise as a serpent, meaning keep that in your back pocket. Be like, I know what you really think, but I'm going to keep that in my back pocket and we're going to play the game, and maybe that's something that you don't really like to do is play the game because you're a real person. Most people like to deal with the mask, you know, the pleasantries of life, and Spirit says, yes, it's going to require strength, but this is emotional strength. To be emotionally intelligent, to integrate the spiritual lesson requires that for you right now to break this karmic cycle of abuse. Because is it not abuse? It's abuse. It's abuse. But again, it's do they think it's abuse? They wouldn't be doing it if they didn't think that it was abusive. However, they're reacting from fear. They're not coming from a place of love, and that's the thing. And you then are going to react from the same place, and you don't want to do that. You want to be present, you want to be in the moment, you want to be connected to God, because only in the now will you get divine guidance, and that divine guidance is like the solution to create balance. And that's not where you're like, well, I have to pretend to be someone that I'm not, or I have to dumb me down, or I have to, no, no one really wants you to do that, and then you're seen as a phony baloney. See, people may not like you, but they can respect you, and that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters is respect. Because hey, you're not going to be, the favorite ice cream flavor, or you're not $100 bill. You're not whatever it is that people like these days, you know? Like, and or maybe you are for some people, right? But obviously not for these people. But you have to get the lesson if you find yourself somewhere. It's not about, I have to quit my job, or I have to leave that group, or I have to change. It's like the Spirit says, you have to change, but not in that way. You're trying to change your environment and run from the problem. We can't run from the problem. We have to integrate the spiritual lesson so that we can get back to wholeness. The journey back to wholeness is through your wounds. What do you think walking on fire coals is? You think that people like to do that just, well, let's walk on some fire coals today, or let's take a ice bath today. No one wants to do that. That's not pleasant because your body restricts and oh my God, you can't breathe. And that's, and if you've went through trauma, well, guess what? That's what your nervous system looks like. And if that's what your nervous system looks like, you should join my school, because my school right now, we're doing the pre-plunge. And the pre-ice cold plunge is we do ice cold baths. And those ice cold baths will help you to recondition your nervous system. You say, how is that? Because through the breath, through getting back into the moment, By being present in the moment. It's like, because that's where the divine guidance is. God will never tell you anything in advance. Well, maybe, yeah, it does like tell you things in advance, but not situations like that. Like, hey, listen, you're going to walk into a room full of people that they're not going to like you. Look, it's not going to say that. What it'll say is, like, in that moment, this person's trying to like sabotage you, or this person, or something to look out for. You get cues that tell you, and this is why presence is so important, because there's a lot happening psychically, and that's just it's done like passive aggressively, and so to again wear away at your self-esteem. So we have to say, well, what would you do to create balance? Like, what would you do to heal? And spirit saying, well, part of that is, we know it's presence, but and to try and look at things from a different perception, obviously, like to have compassion. If people have been mean before, you're getting this again. If you've had a person that bullied you, well, it's not uncommon to have that karmic theme a lot. And it's because people perceive you as a certain way, a threat, but then also someone that they could take advantage of due to your niceness. Spirit says you get, believe it or not, rest, because it's very taxing on the nervous system if you're a highly sensitive person. And if you went through abuse, you probably are. Get better in your body. Again, stretch, movement. It's common that, like, when people go through trauma, they just kind of want to roll up in a ball and they just kind of want to be comfortable. Spirit says move your body, because again, stress is held in the body, and that your mind creates that stress. Your body is just your mind's faithful servant. So Spirit says, and see yourself as a leader. People that are different, people that there's many different realities that play it at one time. People could either see you as that there's something wrong with you, or that you don't belong, not good enough, not worthy, any of those energies, which is what is being triggered. Or they can see you as someone that's a leader, because you're vivacious and you're passionate about what you do, and you can convince people through educating them. So a lot of times people are just not aware. And so if you're in a place that, it's business, then over time people are going to see what is real and what is not. And when they see what's real, they might have suggestions. They might, you know, and that's really what the, business, anything business is. It's like to help you, whether that's work. You might say, but people get in the mindset of, I hate this job. My boss is mean to me. I hate these people. And so in that, that's where the trigger is. And so spirit saying, it's not that it's not happening. It's that you have to handle it different in order to succeed, is what spirit's saying. And I feel like part of it can be done through technology. So maybe not, unfortunately, haters spend more time on your Facebook page than, anywhere else, because they don't know you, but you irritate them and they're curious, like, about what you do. And, they might even admire certain things, but, and that could be your moxie or whatever it is, but they spend a lot of time on social media, people. And so spirit's saying education, because it's not like they're gonna say, hey, educate me. They're not going to be open to education, like people that are don't see things the way that you do. But education is about, putting it out there, because people really, they don't know, they don't understand. um Sometimes they meet people that are different, and like I said, that makes them have to question who they are, question how they've been doing things, and then that irritates them. So, it's not about reacting. Now, I know like this is probably a really bad example, but I'm going to use it anyway. I don't really care about politics, and I'm not using this example to bring up anything. But you see how a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. A lot of people do not like that person. And so he had to put up with that. You see the resilience do you see the resilience of having to like go up? So you may not like the person, but you can have respect for their moxie. You can have respect for the fact that they're passionate enough to like disregard that, to be able to withstand that. That's what people notice. See, the thing is, your enemies, the only thing that they can do is throw you off emotionally, but they can't take you off your path. It would be you that takes you off your path. So Spirit says it's again, it's about getting a better connection to the physical body, stretching and breathing and otherwise, you can't go through that lesson. And so the lesson could even be if it's not work and if it's not like a business group, then it could be you're dating somebody and you walk into his family and everybody you feel hates you. That's a karmic thing. It's not uncommon. It happens a lot. And especially if you grew up in an environment that where you were made to feel like there was something wrong with you, if there was past abuse, and there was. So that's for what the energy is that you need to look at that's unfolding within your life. And it's within a job, within a family, it's within a structure. And it's not for you to run from it, it's from you to deal with the situation differently. So you can see yourself differently. So, and that's when you see yourself differently, you'll know because people will start to treat you differently. That's the way that it works. All right. And the people that don't, they'll just fall away. Or they just will not trigger you at all. Like and when they fall away, they may not leave, but they become almost like invisible because they're not going to go up against you. They're not going to do anything, you know. So now we look and see what the hidden truths are between you and your connection. So I always like to start with hidden truths because it's like I don't know what is this person thinking. It's like I don't know whether you're in separation from them. I don't know anything. I wish things could be different. Well, I feel like obviously you're in separation from this person. They decided to make certain choices, and I feel like I wish I could take back my words. I'm feeling like you had words with this person, and I feel like you held this person accountable and they didn't like it. They acted like you were not important, that, hey, like your position in their life was not important. They really didn't care, and they tried to downplay. So you might have said, something like, I wish that you could have been there for me during this particular time. And it could have been anything from like a birthday to, a death to anything, like a surgery, anything. And this person made it like, well, listen, you're not really that, like, don't you have people that are closer to you? We're not really that close for you to ask me that. When meanwhile, they were projecting something completely different before. But when you needed this person, they emotionally did not show up for you. And they see that now. Damn it. Okay. I lost myself for a while, so you probably didn't feel this person because they disconnected. And part of that was because of their pride. Like once you said something, it's like, and you held this person accountable, they were embarrassed. That's why they said what they said. and they figured that you would fight for the relationship or eventually you would get over it because they didn't really mean it. But instead of them coming back to you and apologizing, they detached from you. I love you. And I feel like they feel as if they love you because, hey, listen, it's like now that you're not running back to them, you're kind of triggering their abandonment. That's first of all, and which I say only because this person was an avoidant, and now that you're not giving them anything, and you haven't spent any time with them, this person didn't give you the time and that which is what you asked. So they're in love with a version of you that they think of in their mind. I just want to be clear about that because this is a healing channel. But do they think that they love you? Absolutely. But is it? No, it's lust. It's lust and everything that I perceive that you are, which is narcissism. Because have they taken the time to get to know you? No. Now, does that mean this person's a narcissist? No, we don't know yet. But that's a narcissistic trait of, hey, I like everything that you are. It's like, but I haven't given you the time. So in my head, I already have the role that I would like you to play because I do love you. But again, is that the role who you are? Or is it a role that they want you to play? It was my fault, but I blamed you. Yeah, like I said, they got triggered when you called them out on their behavior. I can't stop thinking about you. Yeah, because you cut your energy off. So, and they really do think that they love you. So I'm not saying that they don't. What I'm saying is that relationships are something that happen over time. Trust is something that happens over time, and that's the thing. So let's see, what actually happened. What actually happened? This person like just kept a lot of things out. Like they might have perceived, like made you perceive that they wanted like a full-blown relationship and that you were their person sometimes. But they would always leave out information, so you got tired of having to read between the lines, because here it is, if you're with someone that's leaving out information, you're not going to make the best decisions for yourself. You're going to make the best decisions for that person. And so, which is how they were staging it. They didn't never wanted to give anything. They wanted you to give everything. And then when you didn't do that, it's like, and you called them out on it, they made it like, well, we're not really that close. And we're not really, because they were embarrassed. They didn't think that you would say anything because, hey, most people don't, unfortunately. People like feel bad or this person projects themselves as they're like important or that they had a lot of options or at the time they really thought who they were. So, people were just lucky to be with them. They had a big ego, is what I feel like. And so they didn't realize that, you know, first of all, this person loves to create storms of love. And storms of love is just like the constant back and forth, like it's kind of like an entanglement where you make up to break up. You make up to break up. It's like they liked the drama. So again, when they said what they said to you, they thought that you would get mad. They thought that you would get triggered. See why we see a pattern here, like people wanting you to feel bad by treating you a certain way. And this person really thought, well, I don't have to really give anything. I can trigger you to, become subservient to me because I know that you're a true person. I know that you really care about me. But they weren't in the frame of mind to actually be in this type of high vibrant relationship, is what I'm saying. And I do feel like it was a high vibe because it was divine union where they didn't use empathy to deal with you. They were not kind. that like the relationship was really brought to them to heal. But the whole time they had like hidden intentions and like again they just wanted romance. So again, there was no depth to the relationship. They wanted to create the illusion like there was. So there was a lot of uh promises or a lot of like insinuations of what this person wanted, but it was also a lot of push and pull where you had to read between the lines and them never really making things clear. And what I feel like is you held them accountable and they got pissed off and they ran from it. Where again, there was because what you said, pretty much said is I see that you have hidden intentions. It's too risky to be with you. And now this person is thinking, is there really even enough to like fix this? Because what they're looking back on is that they didn't give anything. See, that was the argument. That was the problem the whole time, that this person would not give of their time and they fought you every step of the way, every step of the way, they didn't see it. They didn't want to see it. They wanted to create like again get you all caught up in your feelings and in your emotions and like drama, really. And you choose peace. That's what you did because this person wanted to confuse you with this intense type of energy of passion and lust, but then also not giving anything, which is kind of like makes people if people are not sustained within themselves, well, it's easy to then, be with someone like that, confuse that type of lust for love. Because this person actually believes that they love. And that's the thing. So that this is what it is. They wanted you to fall head over heels for them. And again, what we see here is shallow, very shallow. So all they pretty much wanted to do was create an attachment, right? To come in, create a lot of drama in your life so that you would like have an emotional connection to them. So you would give to them, but they didn't really want to give to you, is what we see. They wanted a one-sided relationship. Someone used a special word for that. I forgot what it was, but it was funny. It was a funny word. It was a cartoon. Like the person wanted like they didn't say mistress, but it was like kind of like, oh, so you want like a person like, and that people today, they want this one-sided relationship where they expect loyalty when they're not loyal. And it's like that's what this person wanted. They wanted you to be loyal. They wanted you to be stuck on them. They wanted you to like be obsessed with them and get so emotionally like bent out of shape that they were gone so it would feed their ego. And you didn't do that. And then instead of them fixing it, they checked out. They lost themselves for a while. And I feel like part of them losing themselves for a while, well, let's see. Well, how did they lose themselves for a while? Because this is gonna make like sense too, because I feel like this person's gonna come back. We're gonna because again, they're like, oh, I have feelings. You have feelings that we want to see. Again, well, so for a long time they acted like their life was perfect, right? And they put themselves in competition with you. But truth of the matter is, they were angry because it was like, who are you to make me feel like I had to, you know, be nice to you? You should again be like happy that I'm with you. You should be. So they saw you in a certain way. It goes back to that. Okay, and so the truth of the matter is, they wanted to make you jealous, and they didn't really look at the betrayal. It's like what they did was they, checked out and they thought that you were going to conform. That's what they did. They checked out. They wanted to make you jealous. They ran around with other people, but insignificant people. So they just didn't talk to you. They just disconnected from you, but they were holding back in thinking that, oh, you're gonna react. You're gonna, like I said, that's what the competition is. Like my life is so good, my life is so great, I don't have a problem. This person's gonna conform. You didn't conform. So now so much time has gone by, this is what I see. So much time has gone by that they're like, you know, thinking about this more and more. I feel overwhelmed. Yeah, because you're triggering them. It's like, I don't feel like this person has ever been in this position before. I was being selfish. This person knows this deck is so big that it's hard to shuffle. I was only fooling myself by thinking that I could ever forget you. So again, now this person's seeing, I want to meet up with you. Didn't I tell you this person's going to come back and they're going to, because they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. Lust. Didn't I tell you that's this person is still lusty. They think that they love. They don't love. They lust you. So they're like, I want to meet up with you. I don't feel like they've really changed. This person is in your life to teach you a spiritual lesson. Yeah, and I think you already learned that lesson. And that lesson is that I don't want to be in a surface relationship. It's like you want what you want and they want what they want. It's like, and in their mind, they really do think that they love, but they haven't taken the time to nurture the connection. And when a person hasn't taken the time to nurture the connection, what it's going to be is it's just going to be lost. And then this person's habits and behaviorisms are going to return. And the reason why is because they didn't build the foundation. You're not that fantasy in their mind. They've made you into something that they want, something that they lust. But is that who you are? No. So the moment that you would show this person that you're not that figment that they made up in their imagination, well, then there would be punishment because, hey, they already showed you how they treated you. They were like, I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna emotionally try to manipulate you to make you lower your guard, to lower your standards, really. So that, and really lower your guard. So, because if you really think that they have feelings and they love, well, it just would have been here for a good time, not a long time, because that's who this person is. And so, again, they're going to try and come back. They want to meet up. Do they have all those feelings for you? Yeah, in their minds. Please forgive me for not being the one for you. So this person knows down deep inside, it's like I would never be able to hold to your standard because you would make me hold to here. But do they want that? Yeah, I wanted to see. I can't change who I am to be who you need, which who you need is someone that's going to be committal. What you need is someone that's going to be. So if we were to ask this person what the truth is, this is what it would be. They would say, like, again, over time, that you were too much, that you required too much of them because they didn't work hard to be in your life. They didn't want to be. And again, so now that, hey, you're not around, they're gonna say, I wasn't ready for real love and I'm sorry. They're gonna say that. But the truth of the matter is they're still not ready for it. So the best thing that you could do is say, okay, how do I fully alchemize this energy so I don't attract the same situations and experiences? And Spirit says, well, it goes back to the beginning, but then we also look at your inner child wound cards. Wow, my arm is so stiff today. Okay. Okay. Then we look at the inner child wounds. Well, falling apart. It looks like it wants to do. Okay. We pull from all different angles here. Okay. So we look and we see security. We see vulnerability. We see resilience. We see naive, isolation, overwhelmed, feeling unworthy, and innocence. So I feel like you were not allowed to be vulnerable growing up. Like your security did not allow you to be like authentic. And I say that because we have unworthy here. So feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough. Um, we can't really share truly who we are because we don't feel safe in the environment to be vulnerable, to let people in. And the reason why is because, hey, um, person's abusive, if they're making you feel unworthy, the way that they talk, the way that they treat you. So I believe that it was the abuse, the childhood abuse that you grew up in. So it was extremely overwhelming for you. It's like always were alone, believe it or not, like isolated from your family. You were made to feel unworthy. You were made to feel not good enough. And so you might have been different again. And so here is this karmic pattern of being different. So you might have be somebody that is like ADHD or autism or both. You may be someone that just again does things differently, and then people like project their shit onto you, but meanwhile, you're not really doing anything. And so if anything, for a long time you were naive, like you believe that everyone was good, and not everybody believes, and not everyone is good, unfortunately. We all don't think the same way. So if you're someone that is naive and thinks that the world is all pink and blue and ribbons and nice, well, unfortunately, you're going to attract a lot of negative energy because it's the moths always go to the light. It's like that's the reason why, because the moth wants the light. It's like it wants the heat of the light, it wants everything, but it can't withstand the light. So again, the lack of security, because when you're isolated by family, you're being made to feel different. And so over time, what happens is it changes the perceptions of how people that actually do like you and how other people see you differently. And so this is what creates the overwhelmness. So you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to be authentic because you're being made to feel unworthy. And Spirit says, unfortunately, the only thing that you can do is do the same thing that you did in childhood. Be resilient. You have a very you know, uh, strong resiliency. And the reason why is because, hey, that you went through that already. Unfortunately, it takes the like naivety and innocence. Both those things to me is a sign of sensitivity. So again, seeing things through the eyes that are pure is through the eyes of God. And God says, I will always be with you if you see things that way. But don't react from past trauma. Go within. The answers are inside of you. It is possible to get a different outcome from your situation. Yes, it did take the innocence away. However, we all tend to have to grow up eventually sometimes, but it's about more or less about you integrating the feeling of unworthiness and knowing that you don't need to be isolated. You are not here by mistake. You're here by God's design. Don't abandon yourself. If you abandon yourself, you self-sabotage yourself because, like I said, opportunities don't let anyone overwhelm you. And that opportunity, it could be like, we don't want you here, but hey, if it's a business group, your business has the potential to grow also 2 to 3 to 4 times, which might be what triggers other people. Then you're in their cookie jar, and that's a little bit of a problem. But that exposes their wounds, not your wounds. So, Spirit's saying, you got to understand what's happening here, and you have to have compassion. And that would be also something that you would need to have integrated in childhood compassion. Especially if your parent made you feel unworthy to the point that they isolated you from the rest of the family to make you feel as if that there was something wrong with you. You have to learn forgiveness, even though that's a hard one to forgive, Spirit's saying. So we can easily heal it though when we alchemize that energy. You're the alchemist of your life. So again, once you step into the new energy, you change that energetic template, which is the energy that you're holding, right? So if the energy that you're holding is shame or guilt, well, it's going to be, you can have the power to transform it, and you get to transform it through releasing control. God says, I have you. We go with the flow of life through the passion for life, for your passion for life. Jesus died for your passion for life. So go with the flow and understand that you're supported. Again, surrender to the process. Don't fight it. And sometimes we're like, this is a process, this looks wrong. And God says the process because you need healing or clearing, and you wouldn't be aware of what needed to be healed or cleared unless you went through the process. Spirit says this is a stepping stone, and understand that each small step brings you closer to overcoming your fears. Be patient with yourself and understand that, yes, you're the alchemist of your life, and that's what this situation is. Use the power to turn adversity into opportunity to create positive change. And the answers are within you, is what Spirit says. And also, when you see yourself in an environment that continuously makes you feel bad about yourself, will also balance yourself out to go into the unknown, because this is where growth occurs. This is how you understand you have shadows, and those shadows are still there, without embodying a new consciousness, and you wouldn't know what that new consciousness should be, because you're not your fragmentation, you're not your trauma, you're not the feeling of unworthy. This is not that. This is to again be able to see yourself differently. Remember, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Everything's happening in divine order. So all you have to do is again be be present, be in the moment, live authentically and boldly, unafraid to be yourself, live out loud. Everything's happening in divine time. No one can take what's yours, Spirit says. So God has a plan for you that unfolds when it's meant to be. So this is like these people aren't taking you off your path. They're not stopping you. No one can stop you, even if it's a relationship. If you're with somebody that the family doesn't like, they can't stop you from being in that relationship. But can they trigger you to react because now your person doesn't know how to react to them? Yes, but it's still up to you how you handle it. You could scream at that person and yell at that person and want to control the situation. And then guess what? When you control, you're coming from a place of fear, you don't get the good result. Or you could surrender to the process. And it doesn't mean that you are like, oh, yay, you can talk about me. But it's more or less, you don't let that affect you. And that's the whole point. It's like people can't do anything. The only thing that they can do is affect you. That's the only thing. Again, the only limits are the ones that you impose on yourself. Understand people can see that. People can see that you can achieve great things, and that's terrifying to them, because it's like, hey, I don't want to see you in that light, because then I have to look at myself. And so understand, Spirit says, be true to you. The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. It's like you're here to fulfill your purpose. And your purpose is to be the energy of love by doing what you love. And understand there will always be people and situations that try to derail you, but no one can. Only you can, by letting it affect you. That's why this is happening right now. Must mean that you're close to success. Again, divine timing is going to roll out soon. And if it is, well, don't let these fuckers get in your way. Again, because again, they don't know. God displays its glory through the broken. Remember that. Attention, Spirit says. Be attentive to all that manifests within yourself. So whatever gets triggered, when negativity rises within you, transform it into light, love, and hope. Your love for others is unconditional. You forgive. My desire to improve is constant. And you be firm, brave, and hardworking, and the divine will have your back. But keep your attention on the prize, on what you want to create, on where you go and what you're doing, not what other people think. Be true to you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.